My name is Hannah Cooper, and I live in a quiet suburb just outside Portland, Oregon. I've always been the kind of person who trusts people too easily, the kind who waves at neighbors, leaves the front door unlocked while gardening, and believes that nothing truly bad could ever happen on our peaceful little street. For years, my friends teased me for being too trusting. Hannah, you'll regret that someday, they'd say. But I'd just laugh it off. I believed in kindness. I believed in safety. I believed that people were good, until the night that belief was tested in a way I'll never forget. It all started in early October, right when the evenings began to get chilly, and the trees painted the streets in red and gold. I lived alone in a 2-bedroom house I'd inherited from my grandmother, a cozy little home with creaky floors, an old porch swing, and ivy that climbed the side walls like it had a life of its own. Most nights, I'd work late. I was a freelance illustrator, so I'd often lose track of time sketching at my desk while soft music played in the background. That evening wasn't any different, or so I thought. At around 11 p.m., I made myself a cup of tea and sat by the window, watching the streetlights flicker in the mist. A few neighbors had already put up Halloween decorations, glowing pumpkins, paper ghosts, and even a mechanical witch that cackled whenever someone walked by. It all looked harmlessly festive. But as I sat there, sipping my tea, I noticed something that didn't fit the scene. Across the street, near the old Miller house, there was someone standing by the lamppost. I could barely make out the figure, tall, wearing a hoodie, motionless. At first, I thought maybe it was one of the teens who liked to hang around the park. But the longer I watched, the stranger it felt. They didn't move, not for a full minute, not even when a car passed. I tried to ignore it, telling myself I was just being paranoid. But that night, for the first time in years, I locked my front door before heading to bed. I didn't sleep well. Around 2 a.m., I woke to a faint sound, a soft click, like a door latch being tested. My heart raced. I sat up, holding my breath, listening. Then, silence. I told myself it was probably the wind or the sound of the old house settling. But just as I started to lie back down, I heard it again. This time, it was unmistakable, footsteps. Slow, careful, coming from the hallway. Every hair on my body stood on end. I lived alone. I grabbed my phone, my mind racing between fear and disbelief. Then, I heard something that froze me completely. A voice, soft, calm, and almost familiar. Hannah. It wasn't loud, but it was close, right outside my bedroom door. I couldn't speak. I just stared at the door, my throat tight with fear. The voice came again, this time lower. Are you awake? It wasn't a voice I recognized. But it sounded too human, too calm, like someone who wasn't supposed to be there but wanted me to think it was fine. My first instinct was to hide. I slid quietly off the bed, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911, whispering my address to the dispatcher. The operator told me to stay on the line and not make any noise. The footsteps paused. Then I heard a faint creak, the sound of the floorboard just outside my door. Hello, the voice said again. I didn't answer. Then, silence. The dispatcher whispered, the police are on their way. Stay where you are. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. After what felt like forever, though it was probably just a few minutes, I heard a knock at the front door. Portland Police. If anyone's inside, make yourself known. That's when I realized the footsteps in the hallway were gone. The officers came in quickly and checked the entire house. The back door was unlocked, but there were no signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen, nothing broken, just a faint footprint near the kitchen door, muddy, and larger than my own. The officers told me it might have been someone checking for unlocked houses, maybe a local trespasser. But I couldn't shake the sound of that voice. Hannah. It was like it knew me. For the next few days, I couldn't focus on work. I double-checked every window and door before bed. The police promised to patrol the neighborhood, but nights felt longer and darker. Every creak made me jump. Then, one afternoon, my neighbor Mr. Grayson stopped by. He was in his 60s, kind, and known for fixing things around the neighborhood. He asked if I was okay because he'd seen the police cars that night. When I told him what happened, his face went pale. Hannah, I didn't want to scare you earlier, but there's been a man wandering this area lately. He claims he used to live here years ago, in this exact house. My stomach dropped. In this house. Mr. Grayson nodded. He says his name is Daniel Cooper. The name made me freeze. Cooper. My last name. I told Mr. Grayson that Daniel was my father's name. But my father had died when I was a child. He looked uncomfortable. This man isn't old enough to be your father. Maybe in his 40s. But he's not right. Talks to himself. Keeps saying, she's here. She's home. That night, I couldn't shake the thought. Who was this man? Why my name? 2 nights later, I heard it again. The same voice. Hannah, it's me. You don't remember, do you? This time, I called the police immediately. By the time they arrived, the man was gone again. But one of the officers found something near my porch, an old photograph, tucked under the mat. It was a picture of my grandmother standing on the same porch, holding a baby. On the back, written in faded ink, Daniel, 1983. I felt my knees weaken. The police took the photo as evidence, promising to look into it. Days turned into weeks, and life started to feel normal again, until I got a call from Detective Barnes, the officer who had handled my case. He told me they found the man. He'd been staying in an abandoned cabin a few miles away. His name was Daniel Cooper. He was my father's half-brother, a man I never knew existed. He'd grown up in foster care after being separated from the family. When he learned the old Cooper house was still standing, he came looking for home. He wasn't trying to hurt me. He was confused, suffering from memory loss and delusions. He thought I was his sister, trapped in the house. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or heartbroken. The police took him to a facility for treatment, and I was told he kept asking about me, wanting to apologize, saying he never meant to frighten me. Now, months later, I still lock my doors every night. But sometimes, when the house gets quiet and the wind brushes against the windows, I think about that night, about the voice in the hallway and the man who just wanted to come home. I never heard from him again, but part of me hopes he found peace. And though I lock my doors now, I'll always remember that not every knock in the dark means danger. Sometimes, it's just a ghost from your past trying to find its way back to the light.